Hey there, plant killers, plant lovers. Look, we've all been there. You're scrolling through Instagram, see these ridiculously perfect gardens and think, I can do that. Next thing you know, you've got a graveyard of basil, and your succulents look, well, not so succulent. But fear not, my wilted friends. I'm here to guide you through the treacherous, hilarious world of gardening fails. We're talking epic blunders, the kind that make your neighbor's prize-winning petunias laugh. So, grab your gardening gloves, a shovel for digging out of those gardening holes you'll dig yourself into, and maybe a fire extinguisher. You'll see why in a bit. Here are 5 ways to kill your garden, and how to not. Let's save some plants, shall we? Al. Okay, first up, let's talk about timing. You know, that thing people with actual green thumbs seem to have a sixth sense for? Yeah, well, Mother Nature doesn't care about your impatience. Planting in frozen ground is like trying to get a tan in Antarctica. It's just not gonna happen. Your plants are not Elsa from Frozen. They can't magically thrive in ice. So, unless you're going for that whole permafrost chic look, hold your horses. Wait until the ground thaws out, feels warm to the touch, and the threat of frost has passed. Trust me, your plants will thank you. Or they would if they could talk. Instead, they'll reward you with, actual growth. Next up, we're diving into the wonderful world of overwatering. Look, I get it, water is life, blah blah blah. But too much of a good thing, especially when it comes to your garden, can be a death sentence. Your plants are not Michael Phelps. They don't need to break world records in synchronized swimming. Drowning them in a pool of their own misery is just cruel. So, how do you avoid this watery grave? First, make sure your pots have drainage holes. Second, stick your finger in the soil. If it's dry an inch or two down, give it a drink. If it's still moist, back away from the watering can. Remember, it's better to underwater than overwater. You can always add more water, but you can't undrown a plant. Well, you can try, but it involves tiny little plant defibrillators, and trust me, that's a whole other video. Alright, let's talk about sunlight, or lack thereof. Now, I know some of you are all about that vampire life, but trust me, your tomatoes are not. Tomatoes are basically little sun worshippers. They crave those golden rays like I crave chimichangas after a long day of fighting bad guys. It's a hard job, but someone's gotta do it. Sticking them in the shade is like sending them to a dungeon. They'll be pale, leggy, and about as productive as a writer during a writer's strike. So do your tomatoes a favor and give them what they want, at least 6 to 8 hours of direct sunlight a day. They'll reward you with juicy, delicious fruits that will make all your gardening sins forgiven. Next up, let's talk about boundaries. No, not the kind you set with your in-laws, but the kind you need to set with your plants. Look, I get it. You're excited. You want a lush, jungle-like garden, bursting with life, but cramming all those plants together is like trying to fit into your skinny jeans after a weekend of pizza and beer. It's just not going to be pretty. Plants need their space to breathe, grow, and soak up all those sweet, sweet nutrients. Overcrowding them is like sending them to a mosh pit. They'll be fighting for resources, getting bruised and battered, and nobody wants that. So resist the urge to play plant Tetris. Follow the spacing guidelines on your seed packets or plant tags. Give them room to breathe and they'll reward you with a healthy, thriving garden. Last but not least, let's talk about the foundation of any good garden, the soil. Now, I'm not talking about that dusty, lifeless stuff you find at the bottom of a construction site. We're talking about rich, nutrient-dense, living soil that will make your plants sing with joy. Think of it as the difference between a gourmet meal and a gas station hot dog. One will nourish you, the other will leave you feeling, well, you get the picture. So, how do you achieve soil nirvana? First, get yourself a soil test kit. This will tell you what your soil is lacking and what you need to add. Then amend. Compost, manure, worm castings, whatever you can get your hands on. Trust me, your plants will thank you. Or they would if they could talk. Instead, they'll reward you with, actual growth. So there you have it, folks. 5 hilarious gardening fails, and more importantly, how to avoid them. Remember, gardening is a journey, not a race. There will be bumps along the way, but that's all part of the fun. Embrace your inner plant killer, learn from your mistakes, and never be afraid to ask for help. Unless you're asking me for fashion advice. Seriously, don't. Now fess up. Which one of these gardening faux pas have you committed? Be honest. Comment below. And while you're at it, share your most epic gardening fails. I promise to read them and laugh. With you, not at you. Maybe.